There is a moment right before everything changes. Not the loud moment, not the obvious one, the quiet one, the breath before the storm, the second where he looks at you and time slows down just enough for both of you to feel it. Most people rush past that second like it means nothing, but that is the second he remembers. That is the second that stays in his chest long after the night is over. Because deep attraction is not built in the big moves. It is built in the pause, in the tension, in the way you make someone feel seen before a single word is spoken. And if you know how to hold that moment, if you know how to stay there without rushing to the next thing, you create something rare, something that feels intense, emotional, unforgettable. So before we go further, listen closely, because this is where most people get it wrong. They think being unforgettable means doing more talking, more proving, more performance. But the truth is the opposite. The more calm you are, the more present you are, the more powerful you become. And once you understand that, everything changes. Stay with me, because what comes next may completely shift the way you think about intimacy, desire, and emotional connection forever. What makes someone unforgettable is not just beauty. It is not just chemistry. It is not even passion by itself. It is presence, real presence. The kind that makes a person feel like the whole world just went silent for 1 second, and all that exists is this moment, this look, this energy between two people. That is what reaches deeper than attraction. That is what touches memory. Too many people think they have to act a certain way to be desired. They think they need to become some perfect version of themselves, polished and impressive and impossible to ignore. But the real magic begins when you stop trying to impress and start allowing yourself to be fully there. That is the shift. That is where intensity becomes personal. When your body is close, your mind is calm, and your energy says, I am here, I am choosing this, and I do not need to chase the moment for it to matter. Can you feel the difference? Because he can, even if he never says it out loud, he can feel when a woman is connected to herself. He can feel when her attention is grounded, when her energy is soft but certain, when she is not shrinking, not performing, not disappearing in the moment. That kind of presence does something powerful. It changes the entire atmosphere. It turns a simple experience into something layered, emotional, and hard to forget. One of the strongest things you can ever do is hold eye contact just a little longer than expected. Not in a forced way, not like a performance. In a calm, steady, natural way that says, I am not hiding from this moment. I am inside it. Eye contact is powerful because it removes the escape routes. It brings both people into the truth of what they are feeling, and most people are not used to that. Most people glance away too fast. They laugh, they break the tension, they hurry past the intensity because staying present feels vulnerable. But that is exactly why it matters. When you hold his gaze with softness and confidence, when you let your eyes stay with his without panic or apology, you create an emotional charge that words cannot copy. You are no longer just close in distance. You are close in awareness. He feels your attention. He feels your choice. He feels that you are not somewhere else in your mind. You are right there. And that is rare. If you have ever wondered why some moments feel ordinary and others feel impossible to shake, this is one reason. It is not always about what happened. It is about how deeply people were there when it happened. So slow it down. Let your eyes say what your mouth does not need to say. Let that silence do some of the work, because sometimes the most unforgettable message is not spoken at all. Sometimes it is simply felt in the way you look at someone and do not look away. And then there is your voice. Not loud, not scripted, not trying too hard, just real. A soft voice in a close moment can do more than 100 dramatic lines ever could. Because when you speak quietly, people lean in, they pay attention. They stop listening with their ears only and start listening with their whole body. That is why a soft, honest sentence can stay with someone for years. It is not about saying something wild. It is about saying something true. Maybe it is as simple as, I feel calm with you. Maybe it is, stay here with me. Maybe it is, do not rush this. The exact words matter less than the feeling behind them. What matters is that it sounds like you. What matters is that it is honest enough to carry weight. Too many people think intensity has to be dramatic. It does not. Real intensity is often quiet. It lives in the whisper, in the pause after the whisper, in the way your tone carries warmth and certainty at the same time. And here's the part many people miss. When you speak in a close, intimate moment, you are not just filling silence, you are shaping the energy. You are guiding the pace. You are making the experience more personal, more grounded, more alive. So do not rush to say too much. Say less. Mean more. Let your words land. Let them breathe. Let him feel that what you are saying is not a line you could give to anyone. It belongs to this moment. That is what makes it powerful. Breath matters more than people realize. The room can be silent, and still your breath can change everything. A slow inhale, a soft exhale, a pause where nothing happens but everything is felt. That kind of moment is not empty. It is loaded. It builds anticipation. It builds awareness. It brings both people deeper into the same space. Most people underestimate how much tension lives in stillness. They assume desire must always be loud, visible, obvious. But some of the strongest energy comes from restraint, from what you do not rush to do, from what you allow to build naturally. If your breathing is frantic, the moment feels rushed. If your breathing is steady, the moment feels deeper. It feels chosen. It feels safe enough to open and intense enough to remember. This is one of the easiest shifts you can make, and almost nobody talks about it. Slow your breathing. Let your body stop trying to race ahead. Let the moment grow instead of forcing it to peak too soon. And if there is silence, let it be there. Silence is not awkward when presence is strong. Silence becomes magnetic when both people can feel what is happening without needing to explain it. So do not be afraid of the pause. Do not be afraid of the quiet. Some of the most powerful moments in attraction are built there. If you are still with me, remember this line because it changes everything. Fast can excite, but slow can haunt. Touch changes meaning depending on how you use it. A rushed touch says one thing. A calm, intentional touch says something completely different. That is why gentle touch can feel more powerful than anything aggressive or dramatic. When you touch someone with care, with steadiness, with awareness, you turn physical closeness into emotional communication. A hand on the face, fingers at the jaw, a palm on the chest, a slow touch at the neck. These things matter because they humanize the moment. They say, I see you. I am not just caught up in the heat of this. I am with you in it. And that changes a person. It softens them. It brings them out of their head. It makes them feel chosen, not just wanted. There is a big difference between those two things. Being wanted can be exciting. Being chosen can be unforgettable. And people remember the moments that make them feel deeply chosen. This is where softness becomes power. Not weakness, not passivity. Power, because calm touch requires confidence. It requires you to slow down enough to let the moment breathe. It requires you to stop chasing effect and start creating connection. And yes, that kind of touch stays in the body. It stays in memory. Long after the words are gone, people remember how your hands made them feel. Not because of force, because of intention. Because for one brief moment, your touch made everything feel more real. That is the kind of detail that turns chemistry into emotional imprint. Saying his name can be powerful too, but only when it is real. Not thrown out carelessly, not repeated like a trick, said slowly. Naturally, at the right moment, a person's name carries identity. It brings them back into themselves. It reminds them that this is personal, not generic, not automatic, not something happening on the surface only. And when you say it with warmth, when it comes from a grounded place, it can land deeper than people expect. It tells him, I am not lost in the moment. I am fully here with you. I know who is in front of me. I feel the weight of this. That kind of specificity can be deeply affecting because so many modern connections are fast and blurry and half present. People are physically there but mentally elsewhere. So when someone says your name in a moment of closeness with softness and intention, it cuts through all that noise. It makes the experience feel real. But here is the key. Do not overdo it. Let it arrive naturally. Let it feel like an extension of the moment, not an attempt to manufacture intensity. The strongest things are often the least forced. A quiet name, a steady gaze, a calm breath, a touch that lingers 1 second longer. That is how moments become memorable. Not by being bigger, by being more true. And if you want to know why certain people stay in someone's mind, this is part of the answer. They knew how to make a moment feel personal. and personal always lasts longer than perfect. Now let's talk about the pause, because this may be the most important part of all. The pause is where anticipation turns into emotional electricity. The pause is where confidence becomes visible. The pause is where you show that you are not ruled by urgency. You are not pulled forward by pressure. You are choosing the pace. That is powerful. In a world where everything is fast, the person who can slow a moment down becomes unforgettable. Why? Because slowing down creates focus. It creates suspense. It allows feeling to catch up with action. Most people are in such a rush to get to the next second that they miss the one that would have changed everything. But when you pause, even briefly, you give the moment weight. You make space for tension to rise. You let both people actually feel what is happening instead of racing through it. That kind of patience is magnetic. It says, I do not need to hurry to know this is real. I can hold this moment. I can stay with it. And that steadiness affects the other person immediately. They feel it in their body. They feel it in their attention. They become more present because your pause pulls them into presence too. This is not about being dramatic. It is about being deliberate. There is a huge difference. And once you understand that, you stop trying to be memorable by doing more. You start becoming memorable by being more grounded, more intentional, more awake inside the moment. That is the secret many people never learn. Attraction grows in anticipation, but memory grows in meaning. What truly lasts is emotional contrast, the mix of softness and certainty, warmth and control, openness and restraint. That combination creates depth. If someone feels only heat, they may enjoy the moment, but it fades fast. If they feel heat and tenderness, desire and trust, tension and calm all at once, that experience goes deeper. It leaves a mark. That is why being fully present matters so much. Presence allows all those layers to exist together. Without presence, everything becomes surface. With presence, even a small gesture can feel huge. And this is where many people lose their power. They think confidence means becoming hard, distant, impossible to read. But real confidence is often softer than that. Real confidence is being able to stay open without losing yourself. It is being able to feel deeply without becoming desperate. It is being able to enjoy intensity without letting it control you. That balance is incredibly attractive. It tells the other person that you are choosing the moment, not being carried away by it. And choice is powerful. Choice is seductive. Choice creates safety and tension at the same time. That is why the energy you bring matters more than any script. You could say very little and still leave a huge impact if your energy is grounded. You could do less and still be remembered more if your presence is strong. If this is making sense, hold on to it, because this is where things shift from simple attraction to deep emotional pull. And deep emotional pull is what people replay in their mind when the night is over and the room is quiet again. There is also something important about not overperforming. The moment you start trying too hard to be unforgettable, you usually become less felt, not more. Why? Because performance creates distance. It places you outside yourself. It makes you focus on effect instead of connection. And people can feel that even if they do not have the words for it. They can sense when someone is in the moment and when someone is managing the moment. That difference changes everything. The more you come back to yourself, the stronger your impact becomes. So let go of the need to get everything right. Let go of the pressure to say the perfect thing, to move the perfect way, to create some movie scene you can control from beginning to end. Real intensity is often messier and quieter than that, but it is also more alive, more human, more memorable. You do not need perfection. You need honesty. You need attention. You need the courage to stay present when the moment gets real. That is what people remember, not flawless technique. Emotional truth, the way you made them feel safe enough to soften and alive enough to want more, the way you did not disappear inside the experience, the way your calm made the whole room feel deeper. So if you are someone who has spent too much time thinking you need to become more impressive to be unforgettable, hear this clearly. You do not need to become louder. You need to become more present. That is the shift. That is the new standard. And once you feel that difference in your own body, you will never want to go back to performance again. What people crave, more than they admit, is to feel deeply met, not just touched, not just desired, met, seen, felt, chosen in a way that feels real, That is why the smallest details can mean so much. The way you pause before speaking, the way your hand stays steady instead of rushed, the way your eyes soften instead of darting away, the way your breathing says calm instead of panic. These things seem simple, but together they create an atmosphere. An atmosphere is everything. Atmosphere turns a physical moment into an emotional one. Atmosphere is what makes someone think about you later when they are alone and cannot quite explain why that moment hit so hard. It is because the moment had shape, it had intention, it had care. And care, when mixed with desire, becomes incredibly powerful. This is not about manipulation. It is not about learning tricks to control another person. It is about understanding emotional energy. It is about learning how to stop rushing past connection and start creating more of it. That is a completely different thing. So the next time you feel a moment building, do not think first about what comes next. Think about how fully you can be there right now. Think about the power of slowing down. Think about the way stillness can intensify desire instead of killing it. Because that is where the real shift happens, not after the moment peaks. Before it does, in the build-up, in the attention, in the quiet command of someone who knows their presence is enough to change the whole experience. And here is what makes all of this even stronger. When you stop rushing, you stop giving your power away to the pace of the moment. You stop letting intensity control you. Instead, you begin to guide the energy with your calm, with your focus, with your willingness to stay inside the truth of what you feel. That changes how the other person responds. It changes how they remember you, because most people are used to fast connection and shallow impact. They are not used to someone who can create emotional gravity without needing to be loud. They are not used to someone who understands that stillness can be seductive, that tenderness can be unforgettable, that patience can feel electric. And when they finally experience that, it stays with them. Not because it was flashy, because it was rare. That is the word. Rare. Rare is what lingers. Rare is what becomes a memory people revisit. Rare is what creates longing. So if you want to leave a deeper impression, stop thinking only about excitement. Think about imprint. Think about what makes a moment live beyond itself. It is not volume. It is not shock. It is not trying to do what no one else does. It is learning how to make a person feel something real in a world full of rushed, forgettable moments. That is the kind of connection that echoes. That is the kind of energy that people look for again once they have felt it. And yes, that is the kind of presence that can change everything without ever needing to force a single second. So if you take anything from this, let it be this. Slow down, stay present, use your eyes, use your breath, use your voice with intention. Let your touch carry care, not just heat. Let the pause do its work. Let the moment become fuller before you ask it to become faster. Because the people who leave the deepest mark are rarely the ones doing the most. They are the ones feeling the most and hiding the least. They are the ones who know how to stay in the moment long enough for it to become real. And that is what turns attraction into memory. That is what turns chemistry into impact. That is what turns one night into something a person carries with them long after it ends. If you have been rushing, this is your sign to stop. If you have been performing, this is your sign to come back to yourself. If you have been wondering what truly makes someone unforgettable, now you know. It is not only the passion, it is the presence inside the passion. It is the meaning inside the silence. It is the courage to let a moment breathe until it says something words never could. And if you master that, you do not just create desire. You create depth, you create memory, you create the kind of feeling that lingers, and that, more than anything else, is what people never forget. If you want, I can now turn this into a full, polished voiceover script with even more cinematic pacing and stronger retention lines, or make it more feminine, darker, softer, or more viral in style.